Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Jason Roberts. He's a peak performance coach and is a nine-figure entrepreneur. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning to you as well. Jason, here in India, it is around 7:34 in the evening. So
Okay.
good evening to you
Good
from
evening
this
to
part of
everybody
the
as well.
world.
That's right.
Yeah, but nothing stops us from learning whatever time it is, and we will be, learning from you the right mindset for business success. So, Jason, my first question to you is, you have built big businesses for yourself from broken household and being a college dropout to your journey to build 10 multi-million dollar companies from scratch. That's a huge leap for and anyone would like to understand or learn your learnings from your businesses. So tell us a bit about your journey, about your this journey of yours, so that it gives some idea that anyone can become, can launch their business successfully with the right kind of effort, with the right kind of mindset.
Sure. Well, I'm thank you first of all for having me on. And I think the question that you just asked, the first thing that kind of popped into my head was the mindset part of it. And I think the reason why I've been successful a lot is probably because I've failed more than most people as well. But one of the things that you kind of learn along the way, I think, is that there's a model for business success. And if you follow that model, it works. I've having the privilege to speak in front of tens of thousands of people, and kind of like a doctor, I get to see people that are successful, and I get to see people that aren't, and I get to see so many people, and you start to see some things that with the ones that are successful are the same, and you start to see some things that are the ones that aren't successful are the same, and so over time you start to hone kind of a recipe or a blueprint of the way in which to operate that works. But I just wanted to tie it back to your mindset piece. But all the mechanics in the world, 80% of success in anything, I think, is psychological, and 20% is mechanics. The right mechanics will get you to the finish line a million times faster. We have to have those, right? But if this isn't right, if we don't believe that we can, then we're right. If we believe that we can, then we're also right. And I think, very first business I started was a mortgage company at age 21, and I was young and I didn't know any better. And, I didn't know the challenges of business. I didn't know all those things. I just worked really, really hard, and I got lucky and got in at the right time. But I had success from my very first attempt. And so I adopted this mindset of, wow, anything new that I try will be successful. And so I just believed that every time I went into anything new going forward. And I kind of adopted it as an eternal belief. And so I think that's easier to do sometimes, right, when we're 20 than it is when we're 40 or 50 or 60 or whatever. But I really want to encourage everybody that's listening that if you're struggling, really take a look at what you're telling yourself. Really take a look at what your beliefs are around the business that you're trying to create. Because if there's some internal conflict, if there's some internal belief that says, this may not work, or I don't know if I'm going to make it or not, that probably more than anything is causing you problems.
Right, Jason. Now you talked about mindset. You had your own difficult family problems you had. Then you had this college also you did not complete there. So where did you get this mindset for? People who come from rich places, big business schools, then try to start their business, and that does not work out. So what was your role model in terms of mindset? How can it be that you can create a mindset out of nothing, whereas others can have many so-called mentors or places or books or best practices and are still not able to create the mindset that made you so successful? Help us understand first the source of such a great mindset.
Well, I want to remind everybody, and this is kind of hard to hear, and it was hard for me to really understand. But the first thing I want to say is mindset is a choice. It's a choice. We choose how we see, a couple things. One is what we choose to focus on and the meaning that we give it. Okay, so I really want you to hear the meaning that we give it part, because I watched this interview with Oprah. I'm sure you guys know who Oprah is. And Oprah interviewed these two twin brothers. And one of them spent a lifetime in prison. And one of them was a very successful multimillionaire with a family. And long story short, she asked the brother in prison, if you were to attribute one thing to why you've spent your entire life in prison, what would it be? And he said, because my dad was an alcoholic, he was an abuser, he was terrible to me and my mom, he was a really, really bad guy, and I'm a product of my environment. Where else do you think I'd be besides prison, right? And it made sense as you were listening to it. But then when she asked the multi-million-dollar brother with a successful family and life and everything else, if you were to attribute one reason to why you have this success, what would it be? And he said the exact same thing. He said, because my dad was an alcoholic and he beat us. The only difference between the two identical twin brothers was the meaning that they gave that situation. And I think for me, AJ, growing up, coming from nothing, a mom who, did her best, but my dad wasn't helping, it was a broken family. And I just remember as a kid, there was a lot of, kind of unhappiness around. And I just remember to myself that, I wanted to bring people happiness. I wanted to bring happiness into the household. I made a choice at a young age of like, no matter what life throws at me, I'm going to make it good. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to improve it. I'm going to see the good or find it. And the choice I kind of made at a young age because just transformed how I look at every situation ever since that time.
Right, Jason. Well put. So it means that business should have a certain vision for bringing happiness, either for yourself or in the larger way. How is it that you saw it, others didn't? Is there some wrong with the books or people that we meet? Because I want to understand, somebody has to have a place from where you pick up such things. How can it be that that some people learn the right things and some people do not learn the right things? In businesses, several businesses fail, some businesses succeed. I want to understand. It's a tricky question, difficult question, but since you have the success of 10 to 11 businesses starting from scratch, I want you to give us some sense of what this mindset is all about in these terms, so that people can make use of this and find better success for themselves, because a lot of people are working hard and still not being able to succeed.
90% of new businesses fail within the first 5 years, AJ. And again, to circle back to saying that there is a very predictable process that if you follow, in my experience, the people that I've worked with have success. And the problem is nobody really understands it. Nobody teaches it. We learn skill. We learn, how to be a good salesperson, or we learn, how to be an IT programmer, or we learn, we learn these different skills, and then we get really good at them and say, we should open up our own business. But we never took the time to learn the business skills of running. Running a business is completely different than any one aspect in it. And so I came up with 4 pillars that I found in my own businesses and all the other people that I help. If these 4 things are followed consistently, we win. If they're done correctly, we win. And if they're not, we don't. And it was my simplest way of boiling it down to like a recipe for success in business. The first one,
please, if you can, carry on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The first one is metrics. If you guys want to write these down, 4 M's: metrics, mindset, model, and mentor. Metrics, mindset, model, mentor. If we break all 4, if we do all 4 of these things, and I can explain in a little more detail if we have time, but if we explain all 4 of those, if we do all 4 of those things in the correct way, we can have success when 90% of other businesses aren't having success.
Right. So help us understand all these 4 things. Firstly, metrics, mindset, we have dealt a bit, but I want you to help us understand in your own way, so that if one can follow this and become a millionaire, why not? Even I would like to become a millionaire by listening to you.
Good. Well, thank you. Let's talk about metrics first. I can't believe how many business owners aren't really tracking their numbers in their business. And so I'm this is something that I usually teach over the course of 16 weeks. I'm trying to break it down for you in a very small period of time. So I'm giving you the best answer I can with the time that we have. But as far as the metrics are concerned, what I want you to track is a couple of key categories first. How much marketing is going out? Like, what is the business doing on a daily basis to reach our target audience? The second part of that I want you to track is how much response is coming in. Out of the marketing that we sent out, how much response is coming in? Out of the response that's coming in, what percent of that response are we converting into an appointment? And I don't care what type of business it is. This is the same all the way across. So, what's coming in, out of what's coming in, how much of that are we converting into a potential prospect? And then, after we convert them to a potential prospect, how many of those are we converting to a sale or whatever? If we're tracking these categories, I can quickly figure out where the problem is. Is the problem with our marketing? Is the problem with our sales? Is the problem with our conversion? Because what most people fail to understand is that us by ourselves, we're typically only really good in one of these areas, right? Not everyone is good at marketing and good at sales and good at admin and good at all these things. But when we start a business, we tend to put ourselves on the assembly line in all those spots. Make sense? We give ourselves all those jobs. You would never do that at your corporate America job. I mean, no big successful company in the world has a sales guy that also works in HR that also orders supplies. Like we just don't do that. Like we laugh at it, but yet in our own businesses, we do those things. So start with understanding the numbers, the metrics of your business. And then we can start to identify where there's issues, where there's things that we can improve on, where there's things that we can make better.
Right, Jason. Now, mindset, we have delved into a bit. Right. So mindset we have delved into a bit in terms of mentor. Mentor. Let's understand it. You want to fix something? Please do it. No problem.
Yeah. Sorry. No. My Mac says that my power is running out, but it's plugged in, so I apologize.
Not at all.
I think we're good. We're just barely
okay.
loose.
Okay. So about the mentor part, what do you mean by mentor, and where do I find the mentor that you will be about to talk about? Because generally people have heard about mentor, and there are many mentors around, but the kind of mentor who can lead us to success, that will be interesting to understand.
So let me thank you for asking that, and let me give you my I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 20 years on coaches, on mentors, on programs. I don't want you guys to do that. I've hired some really good ones, and I've hired some ones that I felt like I got taken. I wish I had my money back. And so over time, you start to figure out like what to look for in a really good mentor, and where you're going to get the best results. So my number one rule for finding someone to mentor me is I want to find someone who's already achieving the result that I'm trying to achieve in a high level, in a high way, right? And what I mean by that is if I realize in my business that maybe my social media marketing needs to be better, I'm going to find somebody who is already, not somebody that's teaching it per se, but somebody that's actually doing it. And the problem with the internet and everything today is that there's no shortage of experts. There's no shortage of mentors. There's no shortage of people that are claiming they can deliver this result. And some of them can, and some of them can't. My number one thing to look at is find somebody that's already getting the result. So for instance, I bought a 94-bed assisted living facility a couple years ago. I've never run an assisted living. I've never done business in the medical field ever. And so this was not anything that I had a background in. The very first thing that I did was find someone who was already running a big assisted living facility at a high level and getting a very good result. And I hired them from the very beginning. And this is the mistake that new entrepreneurs make. They say, well, I'm going to wait a little bit until I get some success, until I start to get some results, until I start to make some money, and then I'll hire the person to help me get to the next level. Successful people, business people that have done this over and over and over again, they'd find it from the very beginning. See, I wasn't going to waste my time and spin my wheels and try to spend the next 10 years figuring out the medical business. I was just going to find somebody that's already figured it out and say, what do I need to do? And I think if people would find someone that's getting the result that they want to get right off the bat, before they even start down the path, you'll get there it's like a good mentor isn't going to cost you money. They're going to save you millions of dollars. They're going to increase your curve to income exponentially faster.
Right, right. And now about the model part. What is this model all about?
Yeah, no, thank you. So when I say model, what I mean by that is, I do this exercise with entrepreneurs where they fly into my office in St. Louis, and I spend a whole day with them, and I break their whole business down to nuts and bolts, and then I put it back together. And so when I say model, what I mean is, again, let's pretend that you, the listener, was a business consultant, and you were helping someone else with their business, and you were helping them build it in a way that it was efficient, that it worked, that it ran whether you were there or not. You wouldn't put yourself on the assembly line in all those different parts. We just, for some reason, we do that. I don't know. We do it from inexperience. We do it because we feel like, well, we don't have the money to hire people or to do these different things. And I would just encourage, ask better questions. What should the model look like? Where is your unique genius zone? What is it that you're really good at? Because there are some things that you're going to be really, really good at, and then there's some things that you're not so good at. So I think it's important to understand very clearly, are you on the right seat on the bus, and is everybody else on the right seat? Because you can have great people, but you can have them in the wrong areas, and they're not going to get good results. I'm typically really good in the front end side of business. I'm good at customer acquisition. I'm good at bringing people in. I'm good at generating leads. I'm good at generating, the front side of business. My partner, Rachel, she's been really, really good on the back side of our businesses. And so we kind of both oversaw those different areas. But if you were to swap us around, we're going to probably be in that 90% of businesses that fail category. So we've got to have the right model. We've got to have the right people in the right places doing the right things.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, after earning, I guess, enough for yourself, if I understand, what is your motivation to continue with whatever you are doing? And also, you are a peak performance coach. What is it that people generally come to you for? And how do you tell them about motivation, finding the right kind of motivation? Because everyone else might be thinking about earning money for, retiring early and going and living at a beach. I want to understand, how do you decide for your future course of life in terms of motivation, and how do you tell them about this type of motivation about their business success?
So I don't know about you, but that whole go to the beach thing. Don't get me wrong. I love the beach. I love a vacation. But one of my very first mentors always said, if you're not growing, you're dying. And so there's a big internal part of me that says, like, I need to continue to grow. I need to continue to give more and grow more. And I've been blessed to be very good in this area of life. And to me, there's no bigger reward than being able to help share that with other people. I enjoy business, but let me put it this way. I don't know that God put me on this earth to run a bunch of different businesses and glorify myself. I think God put me on this earth to have an impact. I think he put me on this earth to change lives, to improve things, to make things better. And that's kind of where I find happiness. That's kind of where I find growth. And so I think for people to wrap their mindset around, what it is that they're trying to grow, where it is that they're trying to give, where can we improve, where can we get better? And for me, that's been kind of my journey.
Wonderful, wonderful. All I can say is, may your tribe increase. The world needs more people like you, more business people like you, more entrepreneurs like you, who think about much more, happiness, spreading much more happiness around, and not just in words, but actually trying to do it in the right earnest. Be that as it may, there is much to learn and understand about the growing business, about mindset, about mentoring, and everything else around it. So for those people who would like to learn more from you, about you, Jason, and also engage with you professionally, what is the best way to do so?
So as I kind of talked about, we have a 16-week training that we do to kind of rewire the subconscious mind, to help people get their mindset, their beliefs. A lot of people aren't experiencing the success that they want to experience because they don't believe it, and it's internal conflict, right? It's where we're at right now versus where we want to go or who we want to be. We are who we are right now because it's who we believe that we are. And the person that we want to become, we have to adopt their beliefs, right? We have to believe that we're this person over here. If we want to be 20 pounds lighter, we have to see ourselves as, we have to believe in our heart that we're the 20-pound lighter person. Or if we want to have a multi-million-dollar business, we have to believe that we're the person running the multi-million-dollar business, not the person that's now. So I do this over the course of 16 weeks, but I condensed it into about an hour and a half long training. It sells for $1,000 on my website, but I want to give it away to your guests for free for anybody that's struggling with where they're at versus where they're trying to go. So you can go to www.ultimatesuccessblueprint.com/KAJ. And you have to type in the KAJ or it's going to charge you. It's completely free. Put in the KAJ at the end.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for that, Jason. And if I get the link, I'll certainly put it also in the YouTube description and the podcast show notes so that maximum people can make use of this thing and spread happiness all around, like you are doing with your many businesses. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.